So look, I think we are at a stage where it's clear that we're not going to have any difficulties involving the emergency transfer of patients. We've been able to work with Spanish colleagues to ensure that that issue is ring-fenced and dealt with in a different way. We do have a problem of a lacuna, which means an absence of law to ensure that we can have the continued movement of haulage, either in terms of movements from Gibraltar, that we do precious little exports or returns from Gibraltar. And that has to be dealt with in the context of not just the treaty negotiations, when all of these things would go away if we have an arrangement, but the interim period. And we're trying to ensure that we can continue to have some of these interim measures continue whilst we resolve the treaty negotiations.
Chief Minister, when we start talking of life and death situations with ambulances, it doesn't show a lot of goodwill, which is something that we've been saying has existed during the talks.
We have to be conscious that there is a problem created by Brexit, which means that the European law that we have relied on in the past is no longer something that we can rely on. And therefore, we have difficulties in this period when it is not possible to continue to extend things indefinitely during treaty negotiations, that we will have bumps in the road like this. Remember that we're dealing with the European Union, we're dealing with Spain. Not everyone in Spain agrees that the proposal for a treaty between the European Union and the United Kingdom on Gibraltar is a good idea. There are always going to be these issues. The question is, do you throw the baby out of the bathwater when you have an issue, or do you go the extra mile to try and resolve the issue and ensure it doesn't affect what we all should want, which is a very safe and secure treaty which resolves all of these issues and many more that we haven't yet seen raise their ugly head in the context of a new relationship between us and the European Union, us and Spain, because there's a treaty between the United Kingdom and the European Union. Now, I believe that we must go the extra mile to try and achieve that, see these bumps in the road, try to avoid them when they come, go through them and fix them, and I think that's my job as the Chief Minister.
Could a cynic be forgiven for thinking that talking about how bumpy a road is before having to announce an agreement could actually be beneficial and by design?
Well, I think cynics should never be forgiven because, being cynical might raise a smile once in a while, but it doesn't achieve much. I think cynicism is to be avoided. We have to work genuinely and in good faith with those who we can work with genuinely and in good faith. We have to appreciate that there are hurdles put in our way and put in their way. We have to ensure that we steer through those hurdles to find the right path for the future. It's very easy to be cynical, especially from where I sit, and it would be very easy for me to have given you a cynical answer back, but I want to be honest with the people of Gibraltar. This is a difficult job that we are doing. It's hard to achieve a treaty between the United Kingdom and the European Union based on the New Year's Eve agreement, which is an agreement between Spain, Gibraltar and the United Kingdom, but although it is hard, is what we must continue to try and achieve.
Well, caught between a rock and a hard place, it's hardly reciprocal if we're going to be handing out permits, but we have no legal recourse to actually apply for permits ourselves.
No, let's be very clear. The system for permits which we're going to establish is going to be based on reciprocity. That is to say, if Gibraltarians cannot apply for permits, then those who are not resident in Gibraltar will not be able to apply for permits in Gibraltar. If Gibraltarians are not recognized under the ECMT Convention or the Interbus Convention, then we will not recognize those who fail to recognize Gibraltar for that purpose. But remember what we're doing in that context. What we're doing in that context is bringing ourselves to a situation where we will not permit the entry into Gibraltar of the vehicles that bring us either tourists or the goods that we eat and otherwise consume. And we're going to then require a different mechanism for the arrival of those persons or things into Gibraltar, which will create business for our hauliers. That is to say, if necessary, that they will have to leave those people or things at the frontier, and we will then convey them through and in Gibraltar. That is the sort of difficulty that Brexit has created for us, and the sort of difficulty that we will find ourselves in if we do not have a negotiated outcome, and that's what we're preparing for, based on the principle of clear and utter reciprocity.